Gonna be here. TOT 8:30.
Rolex. We're at 5, but we Rolex to 5:30.
TOT. You know what your acronym for TOT is there,
You know what?
Robbie Meyer?
I'm searching for it. It's time on target.
There you go. Time on target, said every good Navy man.
Yep. That's in
Rolex.
reference to, I guess, when you're going to drop some munitions.
There you go.
It's when that time on target's going to be. Is that what
Time
your
on
assumption is?
Yeah, I guess so. I just, I try not to think about that aspect of it. I just go, I think that it's the time that you land in the seat at the studio, drop the check, or other important places like that.
That's right.
The other one, Rolex, I kind of like that though too. That's cute.
Rolex is good.
It's good because there's the aspects that it's so funny with language. Rolex, we said it in the last one, killer, bad.
Yeah.
That was good. Rolex. Now we have, this is like back to the redundantly Sergio Buboni. I just hear Rolex.
Yeah.
Right?
Comes with
What
some
do we
prestige.
think of? Absolutely right.
Yeah.
But I would have thought that the term Rolex, as used by our good friends at the Top Gun Navy school pilots or whatever, that they just say that as roll X. We're going to roll the time to X new time.
And they were unsure what the actual etymology of it was. But when he texted me Rolex, it was Rolex, Rolex.
How about that? Rolex. So it's either.
But I would assume, even though like we think of it as a fancy watch, an expensive watch, I'm sure they have I know they have like a seafarer watch, and they have diving watches, and I'm sure they probably have an aviation watch, and so it would not surprise me if some of those guys had a Rolex, not out of being a flashy piece, but because it's a reliable, excellent watch.
God, hang on, but maybe they couldn't have one, because what if he says, like the pilot and the other guy in the other plane, he goes, "Hey, what's the time on that?" And he goes, "Let me check my Rolex." So that guys get confused between I don't know. What are you talking about right now? Are you talking about the watch? Are you talking about what we're supposed to do? Crash.
I don't know if that would happen that way, but okay.
I don't know. By the way, though, you said, I'm sure they have these other things. So guess what? Once I develop my brand, I will also have watches under
Buboni?
Under the
drop the check mic?
No, I'm sorry. Drop the check mic. Was it pod? Drop the check mic. Drop the check mic. Watch. Someone will say, "Hey, what is that? A Rolex?" No, that's a drop the check mic. Watch. It tells perfect time if you were getting to your place 10 minutes late.
It's got some sort of studio thing.
That's right. That's great. Like the old Mickey Mouse. I mean, the Snoopy. You remember that one?
Mm-hmm.
The Snoopy with the rackets and the tennis ball.
Sure.
Serving.
Absolutely.
Was he underhand serving right now?
I might try to get one of those. There's a Mickey Mouse one, Snoopy one.
Yeah, I had one. I had the Snoopy. I had it.
Did you have a Swatch?
Of course, I had a Swatch. Look, bro, in 82, 4, you had to, didn't you?
Oh yeah,
it's
obligation. I remember I had one in high school. And I used to take it off for soccer, and I would tie it or fasten it to the net in the goal.
Oh my God!
Because I wanted it there close to me,
close to you, in the goal.
Yeah.
Oh, it's funny. I just started watching the Beckham documentary tonight.
I've heard it's excellent, but I've not seen it. I need to get on that.
First episode was Wonderson. Wonderson.
That's
another one.
Mike Wonderson.
Yeah,
that's what it does. Is that what the W stands for?
Thank you. Listen, bro. Now I've fully been exposed on this thing. try to keep quiet for 3 episodes.
Mike Wondersome Anderson.
Yeah, it was actually Wang. My dad was Chinese. People say, "Really?" Yeah. Yes, really.
Look, we have someone sneaking into the studio like it's some sort of secret.
Welcome to Drop the Check. Today's special guest is a winemaker who has pseudonyms like Yizzy and Betty. She speaks Portuguese, plays the piano, and moonlights as a character called Tomahawk. And when it comes to wine, she's Gordon Ramsay's right-hand woman. Let's give a warm welcome to winemaker and GM from Chimney Rock Winery, Elizabeth Vianna.
I should have a red light out there that has like a recording thing, huh? We always record. Turn your phone off? Are you
have the red
nervous
light
or something? I've got, you know what she says? I need water.
I need Topo Chico.
And I got the Topo Chico all there, right there, waiting for you.
It's always there.
Look, it's right there.
Thank you.
Look, and you're on your little camera right there. They can see you.
Hi there.
How are you?
I'm wonderful. I'm much, much better now, Elizabeth.
Now, I don't know if we even addressed this, but you haven't seen each other in a long time, but you've met, right?
Oh, we met one of the turkey days, right?
Oh,
Maybe.
no, he didn't come to
Not a
Thanksgiving.
turkey.
Never?
At my wedding,
Wedding, definitely.
because Yizzy played the piano at the wedding.
Is that it?
I don't know.
I feel like we met another time. I don't know.
Maybe. In Atlanta?
I don't know. The voice was very familiar. The humor was very familiar.
Well, because you've seen all
but
the
you've
friendly,
talked
you've
about
seen
him a
the
lot.
friendly neighbor stuff.
Yeah.
His zany.
Yeah.
Hi,
Well,
Yizzy.
It's pleasure to meet you. I would say again, Yizzy, Elizabeth,
We went over your
Betty.
names.
I'm just riffing. I'm
even knows
riffing.
Betty.
I don't know. I'm just clairvoyantly Mike right now, but I'm happy to see you.
It's great to see you, too.
And we have Elizabeth's a fan of the show, so
Yeah.
she's listened to our shows, and you probably have heard we have updates on harvest currently going on in our intros. So it was your last day of grapes Friday.
Yesterday. Last grapes in. Yep.
Yes. Okay. Fantastic.
So, very adrenaline stuff.
Would you like to talk about your Instagram post yesterday on
Instagram.
Halloween?
Oh, yes.
Oh Lord.
So
We'll have to
I don't really want to talk about that.
It's a couple of their vineyards. Obviously, we should say that Elizabeth is the winemaker. And are you GM? And GM at Chimney Rock Winery here in the beautiful Napa Valley.
Wonderful.
And they have a couple of vineyards, and one of them is called Tomahawk, and she's dressed up for Halloween as Tomahawk.
Yes.
I guess as the vineyard.
Yes.
And then there's Ganymede,
Yeah.
which is another vineyard, and your coworker was dressed up as
Yes, my
Ganymede.
assistant winemaker was Ganymede.
Oh,
Whoa. Hang on.
It's
To add a
nerd central.
hang on. Context here. Dressed up as Tomahawk.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Her head. You'll have to look at what's your
Okay.
Instagram handle.
It's Liz Vianna
Okay.
on Instagram.
ELIZVIANNA.
That's it.
Yeah, and you can see the picture of her wearing. It was actually very well done. Who did that?
Laura made it.
It's a tomahawk on her head as a hat.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
It's really goofy, really.
It was very nerdy, but that's kind of how they roll. I mean, I think Elizabeth would happily say that she's a nerd.
Oh, yeah. I embrace my nerd self greatly. Totally. Yeah. Be the nerd.
Exactly. I mean, that's essentially who we were at Davis and how we met. So I want to go back and do a little bit of filler of how we met, and then, we can get into it. But so I'm at Davis, you're at Davis, and we had been in class together. But, whatever, maybe went to a party or something. But that first little quarter, not so much. It was like September, October, November. And we sat down for a final, right? And you sat down beside me. Probably you were trying to cheat off of my paper. But,
Hardly.
and you said, I was like, oh, what's up? What are you going to do for Thanksgiving, right?
Yeah.
Or was it Christmas?
No, it was Thanksgiving.
Yeah. And
was it in the hallway? Like
no, that was
no,
later
okay, that was
on.
later.
This is our first. We had a conversation.
Okay.
What are you going to do? Go into New York or whatever? And then that was that. And then later on, we're down in the hallway, and Marissa was going with you as well. And I was like, "Well, thanks guys for inviting me." And I didn't really know who they were. And they're like, "You can come, just get a ticket." And this is back in the old days. I mean, I guess there was internet, but I literally picked the wall.
There was a phone
on the wall, and called Delta and was like, "Can I get a ticket to New York?" Bought a ticket, and we went and had the most amazing time ever. And I had no idea who she was. And
it's
I was
true.
Like, well, I want to go.
It's true.
So that started it, and then you have lots of things in the Meyer family legacy and history. One, played piano at my wedding.
True.
And then secondly, Mike, I don't know if you know this, but she was the first human being to meet not one but both of my children, other than the parents.
Okay.
Yeah, she was.
Yeah.
In the hospital.
Somewhat royalty in itself.
Yeah.
Right, having that privilege.
I actually took care of Will while Wincy was being born.
That's right. That's right. I had to drop off the car seat.
Yeah.
And I was like, no rush. She's in labor, and was just like rolling around Napa Valley, drop off the car seat at Elizabeth's, and next thing you know, like Winton was born like 1 hour later. But
changed some diapers on those boys. It's crazy.
So that's the background of that, and then more importantly, and we had a love and passion for wine, and that keeps us around. We essentially work together, not on the same projects, but we're calling each other about what are you going to do here? When are you picking this? What's that situation? We do work with the Stag's Leap Wine District together.
That's right.
And that's a lot of fun. I was actually with Robert last night for Halloween.
Smith.
Yeah. But that's what brought us together. But what brought you to wine is maybe a more important question. And going all the way back, you're a partial New Yorker.
Yeah.
But where are you from?
So I was born in Brazil.
Mm-hmm. In Sao Paulo.
In Sao Paulo. Grew up in Rio, in a town in the mountains called Petrópolis.
You know what? I don't think I realized
probably didn't know that. So I did not grow up in Sao Paulo. The major portion of my time in Brazil was in Rio. So if you hear my Portuguese, it's very carioca, which means it comes from Rio.
I'm learning all kinds of fascinating things after 30 years or whatever. I did not know this. That's fascinating. So how long were you there? When you moved to the United States when you were like 12?
So I was back and forth. So 0 to 3 Brazil, Sao Paulo.
Yeah.
3 to 8 US.
Okay.
And then 8 to 16 Brazil.
Okay.
And then back.
Okay. I didn't realize it was 8 to 16 in Brazil.
Yeah, it's a big chunk.
But so you started high school there.
Did 1 year high school there.
And then transferred.
And then 2 years in 2 different high schools here.
Yeah. And that was in New Jersey?
No, in Burlington, Massachusetts. It was my first year.
Was this a boarding school or something?
No, not at all.
Okay.
No, it was public high school.
Okay.
Yeah, and my finishing years were at Ramapo High in Spring Valley, New York.
All right. Where's Spring Valley?
It's in Rockland County. It was across the George Washington Bridge on the New York side.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then to Vassar.
Oh, this is your favorite period, isn't it?
Oh, it's my favorite.
He's going to have a feast now.
Oh, I love it so much. There's lots to be said about it. But while at Vassar and prior to getting into wine or whatever, you were, great at science. And was that your undergrad was in biology?
Biology.
Okay.
Pre-med.
But you were also a talented musician and singer. And was there anything you'd like to tell us about your time at Vassar and singing? Mike, have you ever heard of the world famous night owls?
I have not heard, as far as I know, of the world famous night owls.
I guarantee you, now that you've heard it, it's odd how it comes up. And what did I send? I sent you something recently that I was watching a TV show.
Was there a reference?
Yeah.
Oh, that's hilarious.
And it was like, so-and-so of the Vassar Night Owls. So they were the night owls because back in the day, can you tell the story? Back in the day, it was forbidden to.
So it was an a cappella group of all women. It started when Vassar was not co-ed. Vassar went co-ed in the late 50s, I think. But I think there was a curfew. They were not allowed to be out after a certain hour.
Right.
So proper ladies.
Right.
Yes.
But the night owls had to sing.
They just had to sing.
So they got together after hours and just sang without an instrument because they had to do it. And
okay, though, but where? They would just roam and like sneak in the
my guess
streets.
is in dorm rooms back in the day, but I don't actually know those details.
I like to fancy it as like being some like cave on the side of campus, and they had like candles burning and like cloaks.
Totally, that's totally how I was seeing it. I was seeing like some kind of dark cloaked group,
right?
That would, convene on a corner, like they'd pass notes under desks or whatever, and the night owls would show up, and people in their homes would go, "Do you hear that? It's the night owls again. It's the night owls.
We're gonna do Sandman tonight."
Yes, I love it.
And so, you'll hear it referenced a lot.
I'll have no more of that Vassar bashing.
No, have you heard that one on The Simpsons, Mike?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. I have. It's amazing.
It's Lisa
now
talking.
It's context. Now it provides some kind of context that I have a link back through The Simpsons back to Vassar and Vassar bashing. But guess what? An additional link of night owl, whatever that is too. It's amazing. I love it.
You've just been educated on stuff you really didn't need
right.
to.
Like within 5 minutes already, I've got all kinds of weird, awesome education.
The whole history. Okay,
but there's something. Let me jump in here with you guys though.
Yeah.
As the guy from the outside, Elizabeth, and I say the outside because you guys are in the wine business. Right, and we spoke of this before the show, and a lot of times that I try not to know who we have coming on to see whatever your portfolio is, because I'm the guy that kind of represents the people on the outside of your business. You guys have been in it so long that you know so much about what it is that you do. I just had the pleasure of being out there for this amazing harvest that you guys just finished, but you can talk on a little bit more too, because I'm sure a lot of this is going to be the same for you as it was for Robbie, because you have the same, there's growing conditions and this, how you react to it. But you had mentioned about some of this, you're both in arts and in sciences.
Yeah.
How those things led you to getting into wine.
Because they've heard my story of it before, but you're in New York, and you have friends, and you just start drinking wine. You're introduced to certain things.
Yeah, well, my dad was into fine wine.
Okay.
And, like, wine was at the table, and I knew that there was a little mystique to it. I loved when my parents, popped a bottle of wine. They always got a little happier and, laughed a little more. And my dad was would pour us a little bit of wine and always let us try it. But it wasn't until New York that I got exposed to, like, great wine, and that I really started to think about what was behind a bottle, maybe. And New York's such a great food and wine town. It's hard to not do that.
Well, and there's access in New York City. There's access to all these wines.
Right, exactly.
It's like we didn't necessarily in Atlanta have access to the things that you probably have access to.
Yeah, and in fact, the New York market is very central.
Absolutely,
I would say, right? It's a lot of great Italian wines, great French wines, and I had a really good friend from Vassar, a boy, Roy Abrams, whose father had collected Bordeaux in the 70s. And he shared some of those wines, and that was the hook. Yeah, that really made me go, "Wow, what is this?"
And then, so answering Mike's question too, did you? Because it was for me, but was it relative to science at that point as well? I mean, did you see the what's the word I want to look for? The symmetry, the cohesion between art and science.
No, I would say that what drove me to wine was the artistic side of wine. Yeah, I would say at that point I realized that I wasn't, I wasn't so science-minded that I wanted to be a doctor anymore. I wanted to find something that incorporated both. And not to say that medicine doesn't have art as well. Of
course.
Everything does. But to me, what makes great wine is not science only. It's art.
Uh-huh.
And that was a draw. Like there was a creative aspect to it that really drew.
Yeah.
And we've had this debate. We started having it back in college, and I go back and forth. You know what I'm going to say? That winemaking is not art; it's a craft. Because have we talked about this, Mike, before? That my definition of art is that you have to convey an emotion from the creator of the art to the recipient of the art, and that communication might not always fully match up. Like if to my definition of bad art is one that does not communicate the emotion that the creator wanted to have. Now, someone who also doesn't appreciate art just might be so dim that they can't understand what that art is. That could be a thing. But with making wine, I can't convey anger. I can't convey love. I mean, people are like, oh, it's, whatever. You can't convey that emotion because that's not the intention. I mean, that's not. You can make the wine with a lot of love. You can make the wine experiencing your life, and your wine is oftentimes a reflection of who you are as a person. And so, in that way, I guess it is an extension of you, and that is conveying an emotion. Ultimately, but
I mean, I would disagree. I mean, I think you can't measure it in wine, but there is a creative element, and here's where I
didn't say it wasn't creative. That's what a craft is.
But I'm going to go back to why it's art versus craft, because it can evoke emotion in the person who experiences wine.
That's true.
I really like it. I like what you guys are doing. I'm sorry, Elizabeth. Keep going with whatever you're saying.
No. I'm curious to hear what you have to say.
No, I was going to say this.
I can appreciate beautiful carpentry.
Yes.
A chair will not make me cry. It might make you cry.
But like architecture.
Wine, but architecture is architecture's art. It's not craft.
Well, I agree with that. Yeah. I agree with that.
So it's I think it's the effect that it has on the person who's perceiving the thing that makes it art to me. And I think just like visual arts and music, you can't measure what emotion the composer or the artist was having, but it's there. It's captured there, right?
Sure.
Yeah,
no, I've gone back and forth, like I said, whether I consider wine art or not. I think to me, it sounds a little pompous when people talk about their art of winemaking.
Oh, I'm with you. I am not a creator, number one. Like, I agree. Like, this is a different level of artistry than a composer or a visual artist. And in fact, I kind of think it, in some ways, we're interpreters of vineyards, right?
Of course.
But there's an artistic intent, I think, in everything we do. So, but I agree, it can be very... I'm not an artist. I'm just saying that.
Well, that's not true. Because, see, that's the whole thing. You are an artist because you can sing, you can play instruments, you're a musician. And so let me ask you this. Does making wine, for whatever, you don't have to describe it, does it scratch the same itch as you playing piano?
Yeah, it's funny. I actually think about music when I'm making wine or tasting different lots. I'm sure you do this too, because you're so musically oriented.
You picture it in your head,
right? It's a good way to visualize the quality of a wine. So I think music, the fact that we are creative by nature, makes it so that...
long pause.
That relationship with music just makes me have a different emotional response to wine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does. It does for sure. But I think there's something that maybe we share that from the outside someone might not realize, that it's not like I think in colors or I think in sound. But like you say, if I'm doing a blend, I am thinking about composition in the same way I think about musical composition, and it does scratch that itch. It follows through my brain in that particular way, for sure. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
So,
has a wine ever made you cry?
Nope.
I don't think a wine's made.
But I talk about this recently, Mike. I was in a tasting. I think when we were talking to Joe Wagner or something, but I was in a group tasting. And I had a wine that made me angry.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Well, a lot of things make you angry, Bob.
I know. But I was like really ticked off. I was like, this is whatever. And that sounds maybe obnoxious to people, but no, a wine's never, ever made me cry.
Yeah. I remember, like, this was in the period where I only listened to classical music when I was a teenager. I was such a nerd, Mike. You have no idea. And literally, like, there was the Rachmaninoff Piano Concerto Number 2 and the slow movement.
Yeah.
So this is your assignment after the podcast.
Okay.
Listen to it. Like, I literally, when I listened to it, sometimes I felt like I just had to lay down.
Yeah.
It was too much.
Yeah.
It was so beautiful. I just, it was.
Well, sure.
You know,
music does that to me. Music's definitely
all
made
the time,
me cry.
Of course.
You know?
Of course.
For me, Sketches of Spain puts me onto a different planet. I mean, it's no doubt that piece of artwork connects with me so strongly. Can you play the Rachmaninoff?
No, those are made for big Russian hands.
I was just going to say
not little
that.
Latin hands.
You can't get that. When it was time when you're in New York, you start to have some wines that really start to move you. How did you explore them going, maybe I could be a winemaker? What does that mean? Where do I go to school? How was that process?
It was a very simple, moment. I was at a tasting at Christie's, a pre-auction tasting, and Christian Wex was on stage. And he spoke about inheriting Chateau Petrus and not knowing what to do as a 24-year-old. And he talked about going to UC Davis for a degree in winemaking. Up until that point, I hadn't thought about the fact that there was a winemaker behind a wine.
Oh, really?
Like, I hadn't really thought about.
Okay.
I was just thinking about my emotional response to wines and where they came from and what was different about the terroir. I hadn't really thought about the person who made that wine. And then I went, oh my God, science background, I can do this.
Okay. So you did at that point related to a science background.
Of course.
Yeah. I was, young when I first started being exposed to wine, and I remember it was reading Kevin Zraly's Windows on the World, and specifically in there, I'm still kind of like you, concentrating on certain chateaus and regions and what varietals are, and et cetera, et cetera. And within that book, he had a piece on winemakers and vignerons, or estate owners, whatever. And I was reading, especially the Americans, going, oh, well, that's interesting. What was that guy's, Roy Firestone? He was so from Firestone Tires.
Oh yeah.
He whatever then created his wine. Or I can remember him mentioning different people, and that's when I was like, oh, yeah, there are winemakers.
Firestone.
Yeah. So anyway, it does boil down to the people. So this is you've graduated from Vassar at that point, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm living in New York.
Okay.
I've been out of school for 6 years, and I'm kind of
that long.
Yeah.
And you were working in a hospital.
I was.
Yeah.
I started working in research and developmental neurobiology my first year out, and then I went to a clinical lab. I was having fun in New York. I was in my 20s, and I kept postponing applying to school.
Oh, okay. So you were just postponing.
I was being
that.
a little hedonist.
Okay, I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. Yeah. But then you did get the bug. You applied to Davis, and that's what starts the whole path.
Yeah, here we are.
And here we are. It's really interesting to me too, because I remember when we were in school, you did an internship at Trefethen with Andrew Levy.
Yep.
And then was your next job at Chimney Rock?
It was.
And then what year was that?
99.
99.
So, Trefethen was 98. Yeah.
And then did you leave?
I left.
Okay.
I went to Napa Wine Company.
Oh, that's right. Napa Wine Company.
Yeah.
And then you went back to.
Then I went back.
Yeah, that's great. So now, consecutive years now, how long have you been at Chimney Rock?
It'll be 22 years into.
Wow, look at that. Look at that.
Yeah.
And making some pretty stellar wines. It's really fun for me to see. Actually, just Mike and I were talking. We have Matt Rorick. He'll be appearing, but from school, I made great friends in the sense that, you and Rorik and Andrew Levy and everybody, it's great. But a lot of those people have kind of, gone elsewhere. Or I can remember a guy. Do you remember the gentleman who, the day we finished school, he never went back to wine. He went to fly for Delta.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the tall
Yeah.
dude was their
Yeah.
Air Force pilot.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so, there's just people that have moved away, or a lot of our classmates were from other countries and they just went back home. And so, I don't know, I just gained a lot of love and respect and appreciation to see that, we're still here and that you're successful. This is a funny callback.
Were you worried about me?
No. But I just had a funny thing, when we have our show conversation with Chef Joshua Schwartz. I proposed the idea, like, would we actually be friends if you were a terrible cook? And so it's very comforting for me to say, like, I don't have to lie, and because I love your wines, and that makes me comfortable. Like, I wonder what it would be like if we were great friends and know my kids and you play and you made terrible wine. That would be very unfortunate. So it's very good that you make great wine. So I feel comfortable. So thank you for that.
I wonder if we would have ever been friends if we didn't go to Davis. Probably not.
Who knows? Well, who knows? But it's like, even though I drive by your winery every single day, we don't get to see each other that much these days. Yeah. And I still don't know why you don't live in Napa.
It's too small.
Oh, God. Well, which brings up a good point, too. We should also mention your other half, Mr. David. He's going to be on our spin-off shows, by the way, Mike. Fascinating Englishman. And I can't remember now, how long ago was it that when you guys met?
We've been together almost 15 years.
15 years, okay. I knew it was a long time, but and I don't really even remember the circumstances under which you met.
Yeah. Oh God, it's not.
We're not going to go there.
No,
okay. That's going to be off record then. All right. Okay. But it is funny because
serendipity.
That's fair enough. That's fair enough. But again, it's nice that he's not as embedded in the wine industry as we are, that it's someone from outside. I think that's the case for most of our friends. Few of our friends are like two winemakers married to each other or whatever, but for the most part, I think it's a nice separation to have someone who's not in the industry.
That was very intentional for me. Yeah, I really didn't want to be somebody who was in food or wine, but they had to enjoy both. That was
and he does. Yeah. He enjoys it. We love having our dinners together and everything like that. But what's funny?
He said he'll be on it if you call it sloppy seconds.
Yeah. Oh,
that could be certainly one of our offshoot episodes.
We did have that as a second idea. Yeah. Dirty dishes I like, leftovers I like, and then what was the other one we came up with, Mike? There was something else.
Well, we have I think like snacks, dirty dishes, snacks, leftovers. There's all kinds of
like dirty dishes.
Small bites.
Small bites. I'm sorry, not snacks. Because each little smaller episode, Elizabeth, we have like longer form that we're having conversations with people, and this initial idea from Robbie that this is this anthropological exploration conversation that would be that you would sit down and at a restaurant and overhear a conversation that would happen, or just sit in on a conversation. But these side episodes that may be specifically about a little piece of wine production, outtakes that are just these weird side conversations that we are have whatever Robbie and I may have had. But there's also something that goes on back to Robbie's original point, which is anthropological, that I am so happy to be on this side of it right now, because you guys may not even realize it's going on because you know each other so well. This is the anthropological side of me eavesdropping at the restaurant on you guys. You started out by saying, okay, you both got into wine, and people that listen to back episodes, and you guys would know this about each other in a very similar way. Elizabeth, you said that you were around wine and people had good wine. that you were enamored by. Robbie too. He worked in a restaurant. I'm paraphrasing back to what his own words of is. And in Marietta, oh, we have this. What was it? We have this Margot, or we had something, a very famous bottle of wine that people got. However much, let this kid have a little glass sip of it, or whatever. That you guys were both triggered at this age to be enamored by wine, right? And then let me go with this for a second, because this is fascinating.
I think I'm watching the clock here.
Watch this. Fascinating to this that you guys kind of peel away from each other though too, even though you're both going to wine. Robbie is more what he said. This is a craft and this is not an art. I'm saying what your words were, Robbie.
Yeah.
Like you're going more into science, and while it is science, Elizabeth, you're breaking off on the other side, going, this is I'm seeing this is more of an art than science, even though it's science. And it's fascinating that you both get there to winemaking, right? Winemaking while you're together, but still kind of like yin and yang of one another.
Yeah.
I find that somewhat fascinating.
Well, I mean, it's true, and that's, again, we say that not just in wine, but in the food and beverage industry, it attracts a pretty cool group of people, and right. We, I mean, like if you take the two of us. You're Brazilian, I'm Southern redneck. You're a woman, I'm a man. You grew up, spent a lot of time in New York. I'm in the South. We don't have much. Our stories are not alike at all.
No.
Yet somehow, through our environment, that's brought us close together as friends, and I think that's our community at large.
Yeah, but I also think we did actually have a lot in common. You can grow up in really different circumstances and be and love music and love words and love art and love to travel and
that's absolutely
right?
true.
Yeah.
Hey friends, Mike Anderson here for Drop the Check. Have you ever had the perfect bubble? I mean, what is the perfect bubble? Is it that one that you got from stuffing 6 wads of gum in your mouth next to the baseball field? Or maybe the ones that you blew for your kid's 2nd birthday party? For me, it's probably the one that I stick over my head when someone asks me to be on a Zoom call. But if you really want the perfect bubble, try Topo Chico. Topo Chico is the best sparkling water because the bubbles are perfect. And if there's ever a collaboration between Topo Chico and Pearson Meyer Wines, perfection times 2. Topo Chico, the bubbles are perfect. Now, back to the show. Listen, let's go to, by the way, take a sip of that Topo Chico.
Yeah. Do you see that? So that's the kind of host I am. Like when she got here, I had the Topo Chico. And Mike, I told you that I got a text from Yizzy, and she said, whatever it was, I'll paraphrase, like, I'll come for the podcast, but I'll stay for the Topo Chico.
Thank you. That should be, again, make sure that you don't trademark that, because we need to go ahead and grab that for ourselves.
Yeah, we're going to take that.
Come for the podcast. Stay for the Topo Chico. Okay, here's this, Yizzy. Would Topo Chico, your idea, your thoughts, on the combo of a Pearson Meyer wine, Topo Chico collaboration?
What do you think? Don't you think that could work?
Wow.
We talk about instead
innovation.
of a hard seltzer, this is a, as Mike would say, a spritzer.
Thank you, spritzer.
Spritzer.
A white wine spritzer.
Topo Pearson.
Topo.
Oh my! Easy.
Topo Meyer.
Topo Meyer.
Yeah, easy. Wipe that from the record. So make sure that we made it up. Yeah, I got you. That's great.
I love it. High art, low art.
I think. No, it's all art. I think it's all
Topo
art.
Chico. This is, by the way, this is my first Topo Chico.
Ever?
What?
Ever in my life.
You're
yes.
Hang on.
So this is why I was really looking forward to
I'll
it.
send you home with some.
It's like, okay,
Hang
excellent.
on, you're a.
I'm a Topo Chico virgin. Yes.
You're a Topo Chico virgin. Came into the studio. My God.
Watch. I'm gonna send you
So
home.
the day after Halloween.
I'm gonna send you home with
Vampires.
one of the big bottles, and I like these because I'll drink. I mean, I could drink 3 of these a day, but get one of these and put it into the winery refrigerator. And after you're pressing your last tank, or it's been, a long hot day. I know the weather's changing. We're getting some cold weather, but hot day. and you crack one of these ice cold out of the refrigerator, and just out of the 1 liter bottle, I promise you'll.
It's good.
It's
good.
great.
I
It's
can,
the best.
I can see what you see in this. Huh?
Good label, like the colors. Yeah, thank you. I don't know that I did anything, but thank you.
Well, you found it.
Well, someone introduced. I don't even know. It was someone. Like I said, it was a kitchen thing. I don't know if this was when I was in Colorado or somewhere, but like all the chefs would have the Topo Chico. And it's like, what's that about? You don't even know. It's the best. So yeah.
Sergio Buboni, that's who did it.
That's right.
Chef Sergio Buboni said, "Hey, young guy, Topo Chico is just what you drink." And at that point in time, you went, you know, in every single kitchen in America, they have Topo Chico. That may have been when it happened.
Who knows? I don't know.
That's how it happens.
All right. Well, back to the show.
Back to the show. Let's go.
Okay, hold on. So there is the other concept that we talk about here, which is fine. You found your way into this industry, and this is like our 27th harvest or something like that.
I think it's my 26th.
Okay, something like that. So obviously you're here and continue to be here, not because you need a paycheck. We all do. But you clearly stuck around because it resonates with you. And so what is it? I mean, we kind of alluded to some of it already, but what is it that keeps you coming back? Why are you still here after all this time?
I love it. I can't imagine myself doing anything else. I mean, I'm in love with the farming of grapes.
Yeah.
I'm in love with measuring my life through seasons.
Yes, and through vintages.
And just remembering every year, like that's a part of who we are, right? A vintage and its character. And, you know, people always ask you that stupid question, like, what's your favorite vintage?
Yeah.
I really don't have one.
No.
Like I cherish the difference in every year, and it makes life feel so palpable. Yeah. And I imagine myself working in a cubby, thinking about fiscal years versus growing seasons. You know? Yeah. And I know we think about fiscal years too, but it's not the predominant.
No, it's
in
very
our minds
visceral.
Of how you measure time.
So you know, how Will is up at Seattle and whatever, and he left his truck behind. And so I've been driving the truck around during harvest as I need to, but I hadn't done that in a couple of years. And getting into the truck, the smell of that truck, it used to be my truck, you know, whatever. The smell of it, the driving up the 29, the sunlight coming in, seeing like picks going on, it was just so emotional. It's like, I think our winemaking, and it would be the same if you were, you know, in the kitchen or whatever else, but it's part of our being.
Yep.
It's I don't separate it out. That's who I am, and it's not like that. I don't think about, you'll never work a day in your life if you love what you do. Yeah, that's true. I know, but it's not even like that, because sometimes work is very hard and it's very frustrating and it's tiresome. That's the way we are right now, but I don't think of it that way. It's just something that we do.
Yeah.
You know, is that the way you feel?
Oh, completely. Yeah. I mean, and that is one of my favorite days is when I'm driving into the Stags Leap District neighborhood and everybody's picking and the lights are there and it's like just that rush of adrenaline. This is like, it's the best.
Right. And like, you know, no offense to, the whoever it may be out there, accountants or doctors or lawyers or whatever people do, but the fact that we get to be outside and the scenery that we see, like those magical moments, you know, we've had these kind of colder frost mornings recently, and, you know, people's sprinklers, the overhead sprinklers, frost protection have been going on, and it's just so cool, like seeing the sunlight, the sunrise come up, and it like glinting across the water being sprayed over the vineyard. It's like magic. I mean, it really is. It's incredible. It is. So,
can I ask you a question?
I guess.
It just occurred to me. Did you always love plants?
Is this your podcast now?
Yeah.
You get to ask the questions?
I'm curious about this. Like, it just occurred to me because I was not a plant person.
Yeah.
And I've become a plant person.
No, I do. I love biology.
Yeah.
And I did like plants. And, you know, it can be as simple as like, Sure, I had a lawn mowing business when I was, a kid, whatever, very, very young. But like it mattered to me about cutting and pruning and keeping grass healthy and water and nutrition and all of those
Right.
things. I had a very famous lima bean experiment when I was like, I think like fifth grade. And I had like 5 lima bean plants, germinated them and raised the plants and raised one like in a closet and one in natural sunlight and one in artificial sunlight and one playing like
Oh,
rap music, whatever. And seeing the plants, like how different they were,
right, right, right.
I loved it so much. It was
Yeah.
like, I love plants. No, I've
That's
always loved them.
funny.
And you know how many plants I have around the
Yeah.
house and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny because my grandfather was a corn farmer,
Uh-huh.
my mom's dad, and he loved planting. And now I have such regrets.
But now you've been doing it for 30
No, no,
years,
no.
though.
But I didn't ask him questions. Like he had this like silent relationship with plants, and I feel like I missed an opportunity.
Well, you maybe missed that connection,
Yeah,
that,
and we were very connected, but I didn't.
yeah.
I was not interested in plants, so I didn't ask him.
Yeah.
If I had only known
Oh, yeah. No.
what the future held.
I know. And how excited he would have been
Oh yeah.
to see what you're doing, especially if he had that connection. And there is that's another thing about our industry is there is a familial thing that, it's like, I don't think that either will or when will go into our industry, but it's deep in them of how they grew up, and it's they, identify as, that I'm a farmer.
Right.
And that's how they grew up, and
Right.
that's what they, and they do ask connections. Will's so sweet. He called the other day. Hey, how's harvest going?
Yeah.
And that's
And they've inherited certainly. I think. An appreciation for food and wine, probably
No
naturally,
doubt.
and they understand some very basics, and so they have a skill
Yeah.
also that's been
ingrained into
right.
their culture.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Great.
I mean, well, so then, you're talking about enjoying wines when you're in New York with your friends, but Brazil, whatever your whole cultural upbringing, it's very food driven. I mean, they're very passionate. Brazilians are very passionate about their food. But when you were little, like, were your parents cooking a lot? Were you in the kitchen with them cooking?
A lot of entertaining.
Yeah.
Mom was a great cook. Definitely like very aware. I mean, with the family.
Yeah.
Food was a celebration for everyone.
Sure.
Right?
Sure. No, I mean, it's as
Food and wine, actually.
as it should be.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's beautiful that continues to be a part of what we do. And, back to my question, like what keeps you here? And it's very funny to me because we used to be young. And now,
not so young.
Well, now we're not so young. Do you, and maybe you don't even consider it, have you thought about how long you would like to continue to make wine? Do you ever consider retiring? I don't know. You tell me. What are your thoughts on that?
I've always loved the idea of life being a little bit of a tapestry and different chapters.
Mm-hmm.
And at some point in my life, I remember saying, I'll retire at 61 or 62, and then I want to get a PhD in literature, and I want to go read books. I don't know that I want to do that anymore. I don't know that I want to give up.
Yeah.
And I think the physical work is actually really good. Right?
For
It's
sure.
so like you're walking vineyards
For
every
sure.
year and you're outside. It's I don't know that I could give it up. So I'll do it as long as the body holds.
Yeah, I get to the point where I feel like, and I thought about like, my dad was in aerospace, and I was always worried when he retired because it's like, what are you possibly going to do? And that's the way I feel about like my job or my involvement in this industry. What would I possibly do? Of course, I love to travel. So I could see a change in things where like maybe I'm 70 and I hire assistant winemakers and stuff like that to take over everything. But I could never just, I don't think, put it to bed.
Yeah.
Like just retire and not do it.
I want to work every harvest that I can.
Yeah.
Because like we're
I
counting those years
50.
as many.
I want to get
exactly.
to 50.
How high can I go? That's
So if it's at 26 or 27 now, so another 20 plus years. I'm 52. That would be at least to 72 that I've got to work to get to 50.
Yeah.
I always thought those were cool. 50 harvests.
Yeah, I don't think I can get to 50, but I'll try. We'll see.
How young are you now? Can I ask a woman her age?
I'm 5 years older than you, Bob.
57?
Yeah.
Okay. And when's your birthday?
Yeah, September.
Oh. So you just turned 50.
I'm a harvest baby.
58.
Just turned 57.
57, okay. Well, happy birthday. I don't even remember that it was your birthday.
Thanks for outing my age on your podcast.
That's okay. I think it's funny that I didn't know it was your birthday when, Will Meyer is September 17th.
You used to remember it maybe
I did.
a while
it's
ago.
Probably in my calendar.
Yeah, it's all good.
It's harvest, so I can't remember.
It's fine. I should just text you.
Yeah.
Remind you.
Hey, it's my birthday. No, that would be good. Well, Mike, what do you think?
This is what I'd like to ask, Elizabeth. That you are a successful, powerful woman in the wine industry. About your thoughts on that, like within the wine industry, like we have, I have a daughter. I have a daughter that's 18 years old. That we by generations and the dadness in me, I am constantly looking at. Things that I tell her, advise her, or whatever, of ways that I contemplate my own upbringing and my experience. Is my knowledge is based upon not only my experience, but that my perception, what I think, that I think about the industries, everything available to her, and where she is going out into life right now. That you are there. You are there and you have done it. And I always even caution, I'm very measured when I say success, because I think success is as much as what you just said about you don't want to retire because you like walking the vineyards and your love of doing that every day. And in my opinion, that's as successful as making $3 million. In my opinion.
Oh, I agree.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
So back to the evolution of gender and in the workplace and what that has meant from wine with looking just from what I've learned in the very short time of wine, just your feeling of you where you are right now as a woman that is
does that come into play?
Successful in both ways, and like just kind of like what your feelings of like where you are in the look of the wine industry as a whole, as a woman.
Yeah. So would I say that it's an equal playing field?
Yes.
No.
Okay.
Do I think that? I was extremely lucky, I think, to start in Napa. I think Napa is a great place for women in the wine industry because there were many pioneers here early on. And so I had really good mentors, and I think that was very fortunate. I think if I had started my wine career in France or Italy,
sure,
my wine life could have been very different. But hey, this is the great old USA, and I truly believe like anything's possible. You can do anything.
Yes.
Is it an equal playing field? No, but
yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Do you feel here like, and let's bring it down to just Napa Valley. Do you think in any way you're ever or have ever been held back because you are a woman?
I feel like when I started, I feel women have to prove themselves a little bit more. I do. I think it took a while before I was actually listened to in vineyard meetings.
Yeah, especially
yeah. So in the vineyard world in particular.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the vineyard world and the cellar crew traditionally is male dominated.
Yep.
And so I do know that there is a machismo, and these are hardworking dudes who whatever. And so I do know that they have a bias against, women. That being said, these days into 2023, we have, full female vineyard
Picking
crews.
Oh, yeah.
We have full female cellar staff. I don't know. To me, these days,
it's better.
Yeah,
my team is half women, half men.
Yeah.
Now.
Yeah.
Effectively. So it's definitely better, and I think I just and I don't think it's hard to prove yourself. You just have to go in and show you can do anything that anybody else can do.
Yeah.
But it's not an equal playing field on entry, for sure.
What do you feel about and I feel like it's so mixed here because, you and I have both worked with Australians and Kiwis and French and German and Hungarian and whatever else. And you're very much American, and you don't have any accent. When you speak Portuguese, you speak with your Portuguese accent. But do you ever wonder or think, like, are people viewing me as an outsider, as a Brazilian, as opposed to a someone who's from Des Moines or from?
I'm pretty aware, I think, of my Latina background. I certainly experienced different treatment at different periods of my life in the U.S., depending on where I was living with. So,
but specifically to the wine
industry. Well, I mean, there's a lot of Latino folks here, so that I think that helps.
Yeah.
I think you're always aware of it.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess I'm aware that I'm a white dude from Atlanta. I'm more, I guess to your point, I'm very much aware that I'm from the South.
Right.
And that has, and it's not necessarily good or bad, but certainly I was always concerned about how people would judge me in California, in Napa Valley, because and certainly people did. I mean, I was, hazed a lot in a playful way, but,
I mean, I definitely I'm very aware of where I came from because I came here as an immigrant, and even though I don't have an accent, my parents had an accent.
Sure,
and we had to adapt to a new society. So I think that never leaves you when you come from the outside.
Yeah.
I think you learn to become confident and not, you stop second guessing what people think of you.
Yeah.
Because of where you came from.
Yeah.
After a while, it just gets old, right? You don't have to do that.
Well, and again, because our whole industry does have so many different nationalities and everything else, and it certainly helps that you can speak English, Portuguese, Spanish, French. What else do you speak?
That's it.
Okay, that's all.
That's
it.
That's
but that definitely helps because we do have a lot of French people.
Yeah.
We do have a lot of Spanish/Latino people. Not so many Portuguese, but we run into them.
But the languages have definitely come in handy in the wine industry.
For sure. How do you say drop the check in Portuguese?
I have no idea. A conchinha, por favor.
Oh,
yes. Do that one more time.
A conchinha, por favor.
That's just, can I have the check, please?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. There's no colloquialism.
Well, how do you say drop?
Joga.
Okay.
Yeah. Joga conta.
Joga.
See, there you go. Conta. That's the check. Well, I certainly feel good about things. Do you feel like that you got to express what you felt like you needed to express here about the wine industry?
I just wanted to sit down and talk to you guys.
See, that's the whole thing.
All right.
It was about the Topo Chico and a good conversation.
Yeah,
I didn't want to have an agenda.
No.
With you.
Well, that's why we have no notes here.
Yeah.
We don't have anything. Mike wouldn't even read your bio.
Yeah.
No, I said no. I said no. I want to find it out in an organic way. Okay, back to your Topo Chico there.
I wasn't planning on covering my top selling points for Chimney Rock or anything like that.
Yeah, exactly.
That's right. Okay. Here's one for you. Because I just came from there. I'm on a daily with Bob, now Robbie. He also,
now
like
Robbie.
you, has
she calls me
multiple.
Bob.
I call him Bob.
Okay, thank you. Multiple names. that we came from this is crazy in this growing season because of our weather that it's almost like me watching ticker tape with this guy, right? Watching what was going on, but I only get one winemaker's perspective. I have not had, for my own reasons, another person to say, holy shit, we had people going here and there, and we're running out of whatever those
Picking
awesome
bins,
picking boxes. There we go, boxes. All this I wanted to get, so we can cut him off right here. We know it's drop the check with Robbie Meyer. We mute him for a second to get your perspective, just so I know, because as far as I know, it's like other things that we talked about. That's just bullshit from his side. Same thing with you? You're going crazy over there?
No, very different circumstances. So
Okay.
I have a facility that was built for our vineyard. So I have a tank for every block.
And the winery is in the middle of that singular
and
vineyard.
The vineyard is right there, so the grapes come from right there.
Yes.
So if anything, because Mother Nature was so tempered, it was actually a decent pace.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it wasn't a super compressed harvest. I felt like I was picking things when I wanted to pick them. We were almost short boxes a couple of times. I need to buy some new boxes.
Yeah.
Because it was a healthy. But what I would say is, holy moly, really amazing quality.
Amazing quality.
Like, extraordinary.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah.
But you're also...
Let me jump in here again.
Hold on, Mike. There's other factors, though, that, like, from your perspective, is that because of her fortunate situation that they have this, beautiful estate in the Stag's Leap district with a winery in the middle of the vineyards, and those vineyards all pour right into that winery. Whereas, like, I'm doing stuff from Sonoma County all throughout Napa Valley, multiple facilities, and that's why it becomes, like, more challenging. It's very enviable, the position that she's in, where it's centralized, and it's also primarily Cabernet Sauvignon, even though you make Cab Merlot, Cab Franc,
Malbec, Vianna, Sauv Blanc,
yeah,
yeah.
But it's
so I get it. There is a, and I think, like me, because I'm the representative of the layman on the other side. That's other listeners that aren't there, winemakers and in Napa. It's luxury by logistics and circumstance maybe that you have, but you came to a common conclusion that you both had, both science guy over here, Robbie, of you, an artist over here that you have, Elizabeth. In terms of you're both scientists and artists, but
thank you for
you're
clarifying that. I was a little
leaning to one side. I will clarify that. Here's the important point that I'm going with this. You both have said independently and now together on this. What a beautiful harvest, you guys. I mean, Robbie said earlier how beautiful the flavors was coming out. That, again, I'm just envious out here because I have nothing. Yeah. You guys will be obviously
well, I'm glad you got to experience a little bit of it, at least.
Days.
Yeah.
Days.
And get to have some good juice.
Yeah.
That's right, juice. Just only juice yet. Only juice yet. So.
And what's going to be so exciting for you, Mike, is when you get to come back next time, and that juice will now be wine.
That's right. And for our viewers to know what that wine is, we can talk about some of these wines. Elizabeth, the wines that you will be sending out to the world is...
What do you mean? What are the wines?
Yeah. See those wines, just so we can hear them again.
Mostly Cabernet Sauvignon, our Chimney Rock estate. We do some single vineyard cabs.
So you got the Ganymede cab. You got the Tomahawk
Vineyard. We do Arrowhead Vineyard. We do a Clone 4, Clone 7.
See? Lots of SKUs.
Lots of wines. Yeah, Cabernet Franc.
You do a rosé?
Like a little rosé of Cabernet Franc.
Yeah.
We do some Sauvignon Blanc and some Sauvignon Gris. Oh, we could go on.
Yeah. But it is important because Chimney Rock is a really cool, kind of iconic now. I mean, it's how old is Chimney Rock?
This was our 40th.
Wow.
Yeah, 40 years.
I mean, what's so funny is because again, like, we're not as young as we used to be. 27 years ago, it was only 13 years old. But
I know.
Unfortunately, we've been here for 27
I
years.
know.
So it's a whole different thing. But a beautiful, iconic winery there, beautiful wines that you make. And so obviously people can find that at chimneyrock.com.
That's right.
Chimneyrock.com. And we got to I'm going to see if I can remember it. At ELIZVIANNA is your handle for Instagram. Do you don't use X or Twitter or that stuff?
I do. I don't use it a lot.
You're pretty prevalent on Instagram.
Yeah,
though.
Instagram is my it's my little diary,
Yeah.
Because I'm starting to lose my memory a little.
No, I think it's
so
great.
I can go back and look at what day we had bud break last year because I took a picture of it.
Right.
It's my little harvest diary.
I think that's
Yeah,
great. It's how
useful.
It's how I keep track of your dog and your travels and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
So anyway, and then of course if people want to come and visit you, if they're in the Stags Lake District, they should reach out and contact you because it is a beautiful winery.
Yes.
Okay, well, I'm trying to be cognizant because I tend to run on and on and on, and I've already taken, I can see right there, 1 hour and 8 minutes of your time. So thank you, my sweet, sweet sister. Love you so much, and I'm so glad that you got to go here.
I was worried we were going to have a big laugh attack, like one of our famous ones.
Oh, for
I was
sure.
right?
We can still do that.
I kept thinking about us on a deck in Manhattan once a long time ago.
When we realized that Jesus was the greatest winemaker
ever.
of all time. Exactly. You turn water into wine. That's great. Well, we can still do that. Just because this episode is over doesn't mean you can't come back.
Right.
And also, again, we got to feature up our leftovers and our dirty dishes, and we can do all kinds of fun things, and we can have big belly laughs and all of that, and also bring you back for our wine education shorts. Because on this thing, I don't like to talk about like malolactic fermentation or whatever. Gross. But people want to hear that, so we'll have you back. I guess. We get the comments.
They do. I mean,
see,
there's plenty of podcasts that do that.
I know, but we can just do little shorts though, so someone can do like 5
little bits
minutes.
of what it is.
A little bit of knowledge. A little bit of knowledge.
Okay, well then, in that case, I'll close on saying I love you, and I'll close on saying it's time to drop the check.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Topo Chico.
Topo Chico.
Topo Chico. Hey, friends. Thanks for joining us today on Drop the Check. If you enjoyed this episode, please follow and subscribe to Drop the Check on all of your podcast streaming services, YouTube, and at dropthecheckpodcast.com. Please have a safe and happy Thanksgiving with lots of good food, Pearson Meyer wine, and of course, Topo Chico. For Robbie Meyer, I'm Mike Anderson. See you next time.